Hello everyone, this is Ray, and today we're going to be talking about the support carriers that are on the PTS server right now. Should be available for a little more than a week as of today, and we're going to be going over both of the Shokaku copy and also the Lexington copy. The Shokaku copy has a smokescreen, and the Lexington copy has the Minefields. And I do showcase both of them here in this video, and as you can see here, we're going to be flying around trying to get the smokescreen off on the Cleveland and trying to line it up properly, because it's a little bit tricky if you're coming in at an angle. You really want to be going in at a parallel to the ship that you're trying to smokescreen or you're trying to minefield. Now, you do have fighter squadron on top of that as well, which is really nice, and you can basically smoke up your teammates and then drop a fighter to allow spotting. These squadrons here, they are the tactical rockets, and you can see the amount of damage that we just nuked that destroyer. They're basically acting kind of like how super carriers are, releasing their entire payload with this tactical squadron. They reload at I believe it's like, what, 80 seconds? 100 seconds or so? Pretty much they act similar to also the Soviet carriers. So if you know how they deploy all of their ordnance at once, this is basically the same thing. And these rockets are pretty good at dealing with destroyers. You see that the Cleveland just turns around, leaves the smokescreen. It is a little bit tricky trying to line up your smokescreen, and it is also quite risky as well when you are sitting in this smoke, because the Lexington copy can also be the opponent carrier, and she could just drop minefields inside that smokescreen. So kind of counters your smoke in a way, but for the most part, it should be doable to deal with the minefields, because I'll go into a little bit more detail later on. But you can, in fact, deal with the mines by just dropping your ASW on it, your depth charges, and your your airstrike ASW. Carriers, though, they don't have a way to deal with the minefields at all. Your automatic ASW won't launch when they're in range, so the only option for you is to just get out of there. You just have to leave the radius. The main issue with this game mode is, one, there's no chat available. You can see on the bottom left side, the chat is disabled by default. So you can't really tell your teammates what you want to do, try to synchronize some kind of play, drop smoke, and they sit in it. And also, you are teaming up with bots as well, like literal AIs. So a lot of the times, they'll just run it down, get into range, and then you just no real reason to smoke them up, because they'll just leave that smoke radius. You see here that the Shokaku copy, you do have the down-tiered torpedo bombers. That is like your weakest point. And you don't have available rockets all the time, so you really have to use those kind of a bit of a planning ahead when you are going to be flying around trying to smoke, because they are sharing the same squadron. So in this case, trying to drop Yakuzuki, but my rockets are not up, so I have to torpedo bomb him. He is in a crossfire with literally my entire team is on this side. You go ahead and get a little drop on him. We do land some torpedoes, which is nice. The smokescreen, I guess it is a cool function. I kind of wish that carriers had this to begin with, some type of support aspect to them. I just found it to be really wonky to use, especially when you're not in a coordinated situation. But you see that there's a minefield indicator there. It is red, so that means it is active currently. And you won't actually be able to see them when you're flying around, but you can only assume that your teammates and the bots are just maneuvering as best as possible, because they are quite scattered around. I have a clip of me playing as a surface ship, and I had two of the Lexington copies just drop me non-stop at the very end because I was running at them, and we can get a look at the minefields as well. But yeah, that's basically going to be it for the Kikaku's showcase, who has the smoke screens available to her tactical rockets. These rockets are pretty solid, and I don't know how they're going to be balancing it on the live servers. Most likely things will be changing. This is just a work in progress, just to test out the actual support carrier consumables. And I think Kikaku will actually be a solid if they do keep how this smokescreen works. I think that it'll be really strong in divisions. This smokescreen in general, it doesn't matter which carrier is going to be on. Just the smokescreen play is going to be just really strong utility. So we'll see how things go for this. But that's going to be it for the Shokaku copy showcase. So when it comes to the Lexington copy, which is the name Concord Bridge, her minefields are on her dive bomber squadron. So when you do use the dive bombers, you have to make sure that the timer is ready for these minefields. The mine itself, I think one squadron, they drop like 300 some mines, which is a lot of mines, each having an alpha of 9k damage, high chance of flooding and breaking modules, the usual cool stuff, right? You see here that I am going to be flying over to this destroyer and going to be doing a blind drop on him, but also I'm going to be releasing my mines. You can see that white radius right there. That's the radius of where the mines will be deployed at. And you can see that little squadron fly by. And now there's a timer of 40 seconds. Now, once these 40 seconds are up, the mines will activate and they'll be armed. So that means anyone that sails in them, even submarines at periscope depth as well, they will be prone to getting hit by them, or rather running into them. They are quite spaced out, which is not so bad in terms of trying to maneuver them. For battleships, I believe it may be a little bit tricky, but for destroyers, it should be overall just fine. Just skipping forward just a little bit ahead to showcase the mines being armed now. They have a timer of 4 minutes, and there's a cruiser that is going to be sailing into the minefield. He eats one there, it causes a flooding. You can see how much damage it did there. And now he has to turn away. This is perfectly used for aerial denial instead of actually getting damage for them. We land a amazing, amazing hit with our Tiny Tim rockets, and this guy is pretty much just dead just from, I don't even know. I don't even know if it was anyone else hitting them. I have to look back at it. But this guy pretty much just sailed into the minefield. He ate 3 mines. He had to DCP the flooding, and now he's on double fire, and he's just dead. Like, these are just how strong the minefields are. You can pretty much force a ship to maneuver a certain way you want it to, and also with the help of aerial denial, pretty much just zone out a lot of ships. Now, this battleship is pretty much all alone now, so he has the choice of turning away or sailing into the minefield. I believe he does sail into the minefield. I don't think that they can see the radius on the minimap, but the mines itself won't show the indicator unless you get into a certain range of them, kind of like how torpedoes are. So we do a normal drop on him, just trying to kill him as fast as possible because the game is pretty much over now, trying to get as much damage, the fun stuff. The destroyer's torpedoes run out here, and it's just going to be me just farming away at this Massachusetts. And I believe he eats a few mines as well. We land a torpedo. He is on a fire. He doesn't DCP that just yet, and now everyone else is just going to be pounding away at him. I believe he eats some torpedoes here too. But yeah, these minefields are definitely, in terms of actual damage output and deterring away enemies, they are definitely very strong, a lot more stronger than compared to the smokescreen deployment, because you're straight up impacting the match as a solo carrier, right? The Concord Bridge is definitely going to be the better pick in terms of random battles if you're solo queuing, that's for sure. But just a quick little clip here. Just want to showcase another gameplay of the Concord Bridge. Just as one moment where we do have the enemy team pretty much just pushing straight into CCAP, and my team is getting overwhelmed. We see that the Cleveland is going to be trying to run at our destroyer. He does kill our destroyer, but now he's turned inwards, bow tanking, and he's straight into the cap. So we drop our minefield right on top, a little further ahead of him, because we just want to, you have to lead a little bit longer due to the 40-second arming time. And the biggest strength to these minefields is if you're stuck in this minefield and these mines activate and you're still in that radius, there's a chance that there's a mine that's going to be shown up right in front of you or behind you, and you have to decide whether you want to full accelerate and take that damage to the chance of breaking your steering, your rudder, or getting a flood, or you're just gonna just sit there stationary and you just don't know what to do. Like in this case, the Cleveland just has no idea what to do here, and I'm assuming that there's a minefield right in front of her, and she just sits there. I don't know why. It's a real player. I'm assuming that there's a minefield like all around her where she's positioned. And she just dies due to the plane spotting. Because remember, you can also drop fighters with this with the squadron as well. And now, pretty much we just farm out their Bismarck and their destroyers just out in Narnia on the border of the map. But that's like one of those instances where if you're really unlucky, you can get caught in a really bad spot with those mines just spawning all around you, and you won't be able to really maneuver out of it, because if the carrier is going to be spotting you, the destroyer is spotting you, and you're just sitting there, it is a very scary place to be from what it seems like. Now here's a game and me playing as a Baltimore, trying to experience the full fun of what it's like to be surrounded by the double Concord Bridge. I do run into their spawn, and there's both of them just hiding by that rock there. Both of them are focusing me. You can see that one of them actually laid a minefield there, and that means I can't really sail into them anymore. So I'm just going to be trying to wail at them from a distance, slowly start kiting away because I am about to die. But they both eventually start focusing me as well. And what's really annoying is that timer on those mines, you can't really know. I mean, maybe just because we're just so new to this new mechanic. I don't really know when they're ready to arm. They're just shown there as an icon, and on the minimap, it doesn't really show as that radius circle. Okay, now they're armed. It doesn't really tell you when they're going to be activating. It just shows like it's like a faded out icon, which is pretty annoying. But you see there that I am using my ASW to clear out those mines, and it is a bit frustrating getting just overwhelmed. Look at all these little mines, and they just put it like a little bit behind me, thankfully, so I can just sail away out of it. It does let you know that there is an indicator letting you know that there is a mines just all around you, but you can see those little icons there in the water, and this is basically where you have to maneuver through. It's just an outer ring. It doesn't drop all in the center. It's all around the outer ring, but can you imagine being stuck in a crossfire and you have to maneuver through these mines? Let alone there's a double Concord Bridge just coming at you. It's gonna be quite frustrating, I can see, trying to deal with the mines and then the cross torping, the cross dropping from the carrier, and then the enemy team shooting at you. And on top of that, your only way to remove these minefields is to use your ASW, depth charges, and airstrikes both. But the issue comes in when the support carrier ends up divisioning with a submarine. You're using your only tool against submarines to deal with these mines to save yourself so you can maneuver away. But also, when you use these ASW, the submarine can just ping you for free now at this point. They can just do whatever they want, and you just won't be able to really deal with them anymore. It's kind of absurd, but I wish there were a better way to deal with the minefields, because if they division with the submarine and they time their drops accordingly as well as their pings, you're gonna have one hell of a time, that's for sure. But yeah, this is pretty much just gonna be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think about the whole minefield and smoke screens. Do you like it? Do you think it's gonna be a cool implementation? How annoying do you think it's gonna be? Just let me know. This is still a very new mechanic for me as well. I don't really know how to feel about it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Laters.